June is already here, and for most of us that means a lot of video game announcements. Sadly, there's no E3 this year, but do not worry since a lot of companies have prepared for us some of the greatest game events. I'm Leo S. Luna, and I'm here to tell you about every gaming event from June 2022. Now, keep in mind that rumors aside, we may not know which video games we'll be watching, so this will be a guessing game based on previous events, news reports, and a guide to what to expect. But whether if you're new to video games or an old-timer, there's something to pick up for each and one of us. Keep in mind, I'll put the calendar and the link of each live event on the description, and I also probably do top picks of each event published right here on my channel if you would like to know my favorites. So let's get started. First, let's recap every date with a brief description and then jump into details, shall we? On June 2nd, we'll have PlayStation State of Play. This will be focused solely on PlayStation Studios, including some PlayStation VR 2 announcements. Coming on from June 6th to June 10th, it's Netflix Geek Week 2022, which is mostly focused on series and movie adaptations from comics and video games. On June 9th, we'll have the long-awaited Summer Game Fest organized by Jeff Keighley and his team, where we'll have the announcements from 30 plus publishers around the globe. If you're looking for the perfect event to see it all, from high budget games to small ones, this should be the one to recommend. The same day at noon, we'll have Tribeca Games Spotlight, an event organized by a former film festival at New York highlighting all these games from critically acclaimed studios. On June 11th AM Pacific Time, there's Guerrilla Collective, which is focused on showing a ton of small to mid-independent video games with a wide variety of genres, very insightful if you want to be delighted with creativity and passion. The same day at 9:30 AM, we'll have Wholesome Games Direct, which explains itself with the title, a lot of cozy games that will warm your heart and only ask you to have a wonderful time while playing them. Same day at noon, Games Radar will stream Future Games Show, which will show around 40 games from large to small budget studios like Konami, Thunderful, Team 17, Sega, and many more. This time will be hosted by Denise Gog and Doug Cockle, aka Jennifer and Gerald from The Witcher 3. On June 12th, Microsoft will stream Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase, which might feature a lot of game announcements from their first-party exclusive like Starfield, Gears, Redfall, and maybe some third-party ones. On June 12th, PC Gaming Show will knock us out with a lot of PC games, which some of them are also expected to see on consoles as well, from strategy to shooters to platformers and so on. And last but not least, Blizzard will have its own Overwatch 2 event on June 16th. And what about Devolver Digital, Ubisoft, Square Enix, and Nintendo? Ubisoft is less likely to participate this month. Square Enix will join Summer Game Fest. Devolver already announced a direct but no confirmation on date yet. And for now, there's not a word from Nintendo, so those who are cheerfully waiting on Treehouse Live and Direct, please be patient. Although remember the fantastic gaming release calendar we'll get on June for the Switch. Anyways, I'll share with you more details of this with this image, and links of each event can be found in the description. Now, let's jump onto some details, like PlayStation's State of Play. I'll not stream any of these events, but keep in mind that even if Sony is inviting you to stream it, there might be one or two licensed music around. Usually, State of Play events are focused on third-party content, so this one could be something special. What kind of games will they show? Well, Santa Monica Studios cooking up God of War Ragnarok on PS4 and PS5, but it still doesn't have a release date. We've also been hearing a lot of recent movements on Naughty Dog, perhaps the Last of Us remake or something new down the line. Also, remember Sony's latest acquisitions like Bungie and the whole Destiny IP, so it's very likely to see Destiny 2 content over there as we usually do. Only this time being owned by Sony. Housemarque with his outstanding horror roguelike shooter Returnal could have something down the line. And what about Bluepoint Games? The studio behind Shadow of the Colossus and Demon's Souls remakes is on a strange hiatus, and I'm eager to see what's coming from them. Perhaps another PS2 return? A Bloodborne remake? Who knows? Also, it's confirmed that Firesprite Studios will show us Horizon Call of the Mountain running on a PlayStation VR 2. Speaking of, it's very likely we're going to hear more details about the PSVR 2. We already know the fantastic specs like the OLED screen and the haptic feedback built in the headset, but now it's time to hear the price, release date, and launch lineup. On Netflix Geeked Week, expect to see more about the newest Resident Evil series. Last time we saw a teaser with Wesker's family and some post-apocalyptic extravaganza. We also have Cyberpunk, Edge Runners, an animated series brought by Trigger, the studio behind Little Witch Academia and Kill la Kill. Also there's Cuphead Season 2 series, and maybe more news in regards to their newest gaming studio acquisitions like Night School Studio from Oxenfree, Boss Fight, and Next Games. Now, let's speculate over the 30 publishers that will join Summer Game Fest. Since Xbox, Netflix, Devolver, and Sony will have their own live events, I don't think they'll show the best titles here. Also, Steam, Samsung, and Epic Games feel more like partners, and they'll probably be around the rest of events like PC Gaming Show, Tribeca Games Spotlight. But for now, let's focus on some of the rest of publishers. Now, I'm not a rumor person, but there has to be a reason why Jeff picked these specific publishers. There's been rumors of 2K been working on a new Bioshock and Tales from the Borderlands games. In 2019, 2K announced Cloud Chamber, a new studio that will focus on a new Bioshock game, and since then, there hasn't been any much news about it. The Big Telltale's games comeback and the infamous Nvidia leak gave hints of a new Borderlands game set on a narrative adventure perspective, very similar to their previous games. Activision hasn't shown that much of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, so they'll probably focus on that. In the case of Atlus, it's hard to say, to be honest. It's their 25th person anniversary, so you could guess there might be a comeback of one of their franchises this year, but it's not their style, honestly. They did announce other types of merchandise like t-shirts, collectible figures, and a themed cafe in California, but that's it. It will be great fit for them to release all their personal releases for consoles like P4 or P3. Bandai Namco is off-season considering they already released Elden Ring, but we could see one of their anime IPs as we did before, like One Piece Odyssey or another trailer of Digimon Survive. Bloober Team, the studio behind Layers of Fear and The Medium, has reportedly been working on a popular IP, which by the way coincides with the Silent Hill unconfirmed leak. I'm eager to see what they could do with it, but honestly, it's so hard to see Konami reimagining Silent Hill IP these days. And what about Capcom? Well, remember they announced a Resident Evil Story DLC? Well, there's that. Also, we need to know much more about the Street Fighter 6, which is currently being developed with the RE engine used in recent Resident Evil games. Coffee Stain will likely talk about their new studio focused on mobile games. Deep Silver might rely on Dying Light 2 expansions and digital extremes. As usual, we'll talk about Warframe's future content. Doremu is quite exciting since we might finally know the release date of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. And probably we'll see more gameplay footage of Dragon Age and Star Wars Jedi Survivor from EA. Frost Giant is a new studio funded with StarCraft 2 veterans that might show something very interesting for the first time. Write down in the comments what you think all these gaming companies will show up. Last but not least, there will be a Day of the Depths special, an after show dedicated to independent video games organized by Double Fine Productions, which are the folks behind Psychonauts, Brutal Legend, and Custom Quest. Expect high quality games all in all. Oh yeah, and Jeff Keighley has invited a lot of journalists in order to try some of the games shown on Summer Game Fest, so expect tons of previews after the show. Two things I like to focus on Tribeca Games Spotlight. First, it's the only event which has already confirmed most of their titles. Games like Blacktail Requiem, Cuphead The Delicious Last Curse, Sam Barlow's Immortality, American Arcadia, As Dusk Falls, Bamba, Thirsty Shooters, Oxenfree 2, and The Cop will be present. To all of them, there are plenty of options at their website for anyone to purchase if you want to try every game, whether you want to be in person or virtually at home. The strange thing is that you can virtually only choose between 3 of those games to try with a $5 pass. You can do this anywhere around the globe. Yes, You heard that right. And I'm also leaving you the link in the description as well if you're interested. As for the Future Games show, it's common for them to release virtual booths on Steam so everyone can try demos or complete games that will be announced. Right now there's a page with demos already available, and I'll leave in the link in the description down below as well. And finally, I'll talk about the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase. It's safe to say that Microsoft already showed the big guns last year. Published games like Forza Horizon 5, Psychonauts 2, Age of Empires 4, Flight Sim on consoles, and Halo Infinite were received very well critically and gamers alike in general. It's quite safe to think that upcoming months will be less busy on the Xbox first-party calendar, but that doesn't mean we'll see trailers or announcements of different titles like about Forza Motorsport, Gear 6, Hellblade, and so on. Bethesda already announced that Starfield and Redfall will come out until 2023. One, an open-world RPG in space made by the same team who developed the Fallout franchise, and Redfall is a co-op action-adventure game focused on slaying vampires. The best thing is being developed by Arcane, the guys who brought us Dishonored, so expect to see many wide-open gameplay mechanics. We could see Deathloop coming out from the PlayStation console exclusive time span onto Xbox platforms. And what about Rare? They're probably busy giving support to their successful Sea of Thieves, but remember, we have Everwild, which we know so little other than what we saw in the trailer. There's hope even for Banjo, considering they're giving an extra push on the character on the Nintendo platform, but it's not certain. As for Perfect Dark, well, things are not going that well in development, so it's hard to say too. What I'm thrilled to know is which older IPs are they going to revive, such as Killer Instinct. We definitely want KI comeback, and also the amount of Bethesda games like the classic Fallout. And keep in mind that Activision games will not be included since the deal is still due for next year. So which game events are you waiting to see the most? Which video games would you like to see? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Remember, the upcoming weeks I'll be focusing on picking out my favorite game announcements from these events and many other topics I'd like to bring up to my channel, like probably a long list of Elden Ring tips, tricks, and narrative analysis, tech tips, and much more. I'm Leo S. Luna, feel free to follow me on social media, and take care.